Would I be the asshole if I kicked my father out of my house, with absolutely nowhere to go for trying to destroy my marriage? Hi, guys. This is my first time posting on Reddit, so please take it easy on me. This is going to be a long one, but I need to give some backstory in order for you to fully understand the dynamics. I, 44F, met my birth father, 66M, when I was 16 years old. Let me preface this by saying my birth father signed his rights away to me when I was 3 years old because he didn't want to pay child support. Long story short, I was a complete handful at 16, think drugs, drinking, etc., which I used to mask some massive pain, and my mom couldn't handle me anymore, so she found my birth father and told him it was his turn to handle me. I moved in with him, a total stranger, and was shell-shocked by the transition. I went from an upper-middle-class upbringing, living with a stepfather who adopted me, my mother, and my half-sister, to living in a rundown house in a very rural town with a birth father who didn't work and was an alcoholic. His meth-addicted live-in girlfriend was just the cherry on top. To say that life change was hard would be the understatement of a lifetime. But I was happy to be there because I was out of my mother's house and away from the stepfather who sexually and verbally abused me. I lived with my birth father for a little over a year while going to school before my mother realized we were living with no electricity and finally decided she wanted me back. During this time, my mother had divorced my stepfather because one of her friends, who I had previously confided in, finally told her that my stepfather had been assaying me and my mother believed her. Even though I'd been trying to tell my mom for years, and she would just say I was making it up. So I moved back in with my mother, but the environment was not good because I think she blamed me for losing the lifestyle and financial support my stepfather had been providing for her. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and asked my birth father if I could move back in. At this point, I had dropped out of school because my mother didn't bother to enroll me when I moved back in with her, so I did the best I could to work and at least provide food and money for electricity because my father still didn't have a job. Fast forward 6 months and I moved out of his house. At this point, the meth-addicted girlfriend was gone and he was completely alone now. He had no one in the world but me, his only child, and his 2 best friends. That was it. No family, as he was adopted, no wife, as the 2 that he'd had divorced him, and he started leaning heavily on me for support and human connection. I gave him everything he needed because he was my dad, and I knew he had no one else but me to depend on. Over time, my dad got his stuff together and got a job, lost the house he'd inherited from his adoptive parents, and eventually had to move in with me. I was 25 at the time. I got a 2-bedroom apartment and allowed him to live with me for a couple of years before he got back on his feet again. Once he did, he moved out and got his own apartment near me. He was doing good for about 6 years before he lost his job due to a medical issue. I did not want him living with me again, so I bought him a 35-foot travel trailer and put him in a very affordable RV park near where his best friend lived, sadly who was dying of cancer, so he could be close to him. All he has to do was come up with $300 a month to cover lot rent, electricity, water. Guess who didn't get a job or even scrap aluminum cans to pay that lot rent? You guessed it, dear old birth father. The landlord seized the travel trailer and all his belongings. I was so pissed off that I cut contact with him for a while. Fast forward 2 years, and he messages me on social media saying he's living with the last friend he has and wants to have a relationship with me again. This was during the beginning of COVID, and I started talking to him again, but kept him at arm's length because through extensive therapy, I finally realized my birth father, and I had never had a normal child-parent relationship, and how I was always guilted into giving and giving and giving while he happily took because I was his only child and his whole world. He frequently told me I was the only person he had on the planet, and I felt obligated to help him, because, after all, he had no one but me. Eventually, his relationship with his best friend soured. He still didn't work and finally was approved for Social Security disability, and he called me up telling me he was being verbally abused and needed to move out because his anxiety couldn't handle it. So after talking to my husband, 48M, of just 2 years, we allowed him to move in with us. I honestly felt I had no choice but to move him in because his health is bad, according to him, and he had too much anxiety to function. Mind you, this man is 62 at the time. Not old and certainly able to take care of himself, but again, he really laid the guilt on thick when he asked to move in. Fast forward 3 years and my husband got a job abroad. We moved my father with us because at this point, he was my dependent and I felt obligated to take care of him. The first year here was mainly okay. He mostly kept to himself, but his demands on me slowly started increasing. I ended up having to do absolutely everything for him, i.e., go grocery shopping, make his doctor's appointments, take him to his doctor's appointments, get his meds, get his cartons of cigarettes, do anything else he wanted. Mind you, I work 2 jobs. By choice, but I work a lot. My husband does too. My father's behavior went from asking me to run errands for him to demanding I do. As you can imagine, this got old fast. I started having resentment towards him and would be short with him whenever I saw him. Which was all the time because he was constantly trying to talk to me, demanding my time when I got off work when I just wanted to relax and catch up with my husband, ask me to go to the store for the 3rd time that week for him, etc. Now, my father is on disability, but he is not that disabled. He is able to walk, talk, make decisions, etc. He is fully functioning. He's just lazy IMO. The resentment built to toxic levels recently, and we've been having verbal arguments, which we've never had before. I attribute this to me finally standing up to him and telling him I'm not his babysitter or maid. Of course, he didn't take me telling him to take a taxi or Uber to the store and handle his own business on his own. Well, he went on and on about how I was supposed to take care of him and that he doesn't know how to do things himself, like call a taxi with the phone I pay for him to have, or navigate around Hello Google Maps. I snapped at him and told him I never agreed to become his caretaker, that I opened my home to him just for him to live in, but that I was done being taken advantage of and guilted into doing everything for him. I laughed in his face when he told me he's taken care of me for years and I owe him. He didn't handle me laughing in his face well, to say the very least. He raised his fist and would have hit me if my male BFF hadn't been standing right there to stop him. Fast forward a month and we get into yet another huge blow-up, the umpteenth if you're keeping count, because my husband told him he had to move out because of the hostile way he treats me, that living in this toxic environment is no good for anyone. My father smiles at me and says, "What would your husband say if I told him what I knew?" My husband immediately asks him what he's talking about, and my father is just staring at me with this evil smile. I'm feeling a little bit froggy at this point, and I said, "Tell my husband whatever you want, but you'll be out of my house today." My husband is beyond confused, and so am I, frankly, but my father goes back to his room without saying anything. I'm really mad at this point and go after him after 5 minutes. My husband begs me to keep the door open so he can monitor what's going on just in case he needs to come help me if my dad gets violent. When I sit down to talk to him, I ask him what the fuck he meant about telling my husband something. He said that he would tell my husband that I've been having spicy sleep with my male best friend and that he recorded proof on his phone. I'm actually shocked by his words. What? First, I've never done the horizontal mambo with my male bestie, and second, what the fuck is he talking about having a video? My husband comes barging in the room and demands see my father's cell phone, as he heard the whole conversation from nearby. My father refuses to hand over the phone, and it turns ugly for a bit as my husband loses his temper and threatens to throttle him. He finally hands over the cell phone, and my husband rushes out of the room. I follow, kind of in a panic because my husband is the most mellow, non-confrontational person on the planet, and I've never seen him lose it before. He tried to access the phone, but it's password protected. I spent the next few minutes trying to calm him down and reassure him that I've never cheated on him. After he's calmer, I told him I'll get the phone unlocked and go back to my father's room and demand the code. After threatening him to throw him out of my house right that second and never look back, he gives me the password. Once I open the phone, I start looking for videos or voice recordings, thinking that maybe he got a hug or something on video and was going to pathetically try to blackmail me over that. News flash, I hug my bestie often in front of my husband. But guess what I found? Nothing. No video, no voice recording, nothing. When I asked my dad what the fuck he was thinking, how he could try to do something like that to me, he said I laughed in his face that one time we fought and he wanted to get back at me. He was trying to blackmail me, on the hopes that I was spicy sleeping with my male best friend so that I wouldn't kick him out. I immediately started crying. My heart fucking broke, you guys. Absolutely crushed me. My own father wanted to hurt me that bad and ruin my marriage to my husband. I haven't mentioned this yet, but every serious partner my husband has cheated on him. It's his biggest fear and biggest deal breaker in a relationship. And my father used that to try to control me. So, that happened 2 days ago and I'm still shell-shocked. I'm still trying to deal with the viciousness and the hurt he's caused both my husband and I. I want my father out of my house immediately, but he legitimately has nowhere to go. No friends, no savings, no family, just a monthly $1,800 Social Security check. I want to completely wash my hands of this man and never speak to him again. But on the other hand, I know he has no one but me on earth, and that comes with a lot of guilt. Would I be the a-hole if I bought him a one-way ticket back to the States and completely washed my hands of him? I don't want to help him find a place to live because I'm sick and fucking tired of doing absolutely everything for him. I just want him gone. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Am I the asshole for finally blowing up at my brother and his fiancée after months of disrespect, lies, and manipulation? This has been boiling for months, and I finally snapped. Now I'm being told I should have just let it go. But I'm done being the bigger person while my family gets walked all over. I 30F have a younger brother, Ryan, 21M. He started dating Kami, 20F, in late 2024 and brought her to our family Christmas after a few weeks of dating. She was distant, barely said a word, clung to Ryan the whole time and didn't introduce herself to anyone. It was awkward, but we gave her grace, figured she was shy. A month later, Ryan asked if Kami could come to my wedding. We were having a super small, intimate wedding under 50 guests, and I'd only met her twice. My wife and I had already cut close friends and extended family due to budget. Still, after pressure from my mom and stepdad, we agreed on the condition they pay for her meal. They showed up, stayed 2 hours at the reception, then bilayed because Kami was overwhelmed. We'd already told Ryan it would be a lot for her to meet all the family at once, but he has insisted it wouldn't be a problem. It was annoying, but we let it go and chose to focus on our night. Then April rolls around and we find out on Facebook they're engaged. They'd been together less than 5 months. No one in our family knew. He proposed with only her family present. Ryan is normally super close to us, so yeah, it stung to be left out of something that major. But once again, we let it go. Then the red flags really started waving. Kami never speaks directly to us at family dinners unless we initiate conversation. She whispers to Ryan like we're strangers or not in the room. Sometimes they would disappear mid-visit because she needs a break, or they just don't come at all. On Mother's Day, they ghosted my mum entirely, which also happened to be the day my 13-year-old cat passed away. I had gotten her when I was 16, so she was an animal Ryan grew up with too. I was devastated. I didn't even get a text from him. 2 weeks later, he called me to ask for my Disney Plus password because Kami wanted to watch a show. And yes, I gave it. I was struggling with my mental health big time at this point and just wanted to be the bigger person. Then in July rolls around, Ryan called me on a Sunday night to say they were having an unofficial wedding, with no celebrant or paperwork that Thursday. 4 days' notice. It was at 6 p.m., 1.5 hours away, and I work full-time until 5:30. I asked him to push it back a few weeks so more family could come, especially since our sister was about to give birth, and our bio dad was flying down as he lives in another state. Overall, it just seemed really last minute. He ignored those messages and didn't respond. Turns out it was clearly planned well in advance. Kami had a full-on wedding dress. Her mum flew in from another state. She had bridesmaids, all wearing matching colors. So her family got plenty of notice, while ours got a 4-day heads-up. I didn't go in the end. After multiple discussions with my mum, I just couldn't support it even if it was unofficial. My mum made it, barely. Still in her pediatric ward scrubs, she threw on her only nice coat, which was unfortunately a darker cream color, but wanted to avoid being photographed in her Hello Kitty scrubs. Kami waited a few minutes after my mum begged her, so that my stepdad, who works 2 hours away, could arrive in time, but was cold and hostile to my mum for the rest of the night. The next day, my mum got vile messages from Ryan's account, accusing her of ruining their wedding by wearing cream. The tone and phrasing made it obvious Kami had written it. My mum was heartbroken. She didn't even have time to change, but she showed up out of love and support. My mum was already stressed out enough with my sister going into labor at any second and her big 50th birthday dinner coming up. So she requested that we all bit our tongues again and just leave it. Then August comes around. My brother had just celebrated his 21st birthday. My dad had bought him a car as his old one had been quite unreliable. Ryan visits our Nana, our bio dad's mum. He had sold his old car, so he wanted to go pay her back for car repairs she helped him with. It was her birthday. She asked where Kami was. Ryan claimed she was at her dad's. But when Ryan went to go find my pop, to give him the money, my Nana had looked out the window and saw Kami sitting in the front seat the whole time. Being the loud, ethnic grandma she is, she went out to invite her in. Kami refused. They left. Not long after, Ryan texted our dad, "Tell your mother she can go get fucked." I lost it. Apparently, Kami claimed Nana said horrible things to her and said she would hit her if she didn't get out of the car. Now my Nana is more blunt than cruel. She does say wild things sometimes. She's old, loves to have a wine in the afternoon, and has no filter. But I've never known her to threaten anyone, and in my own experience, I was in an abusive relationship for years before I met my wife. The worst she ever said to my ex was, "Why are you taking my granddaughter away from me?" I messaged Ryan and told him I was disgusted and disappointed. Lying to Nana, disrespecting her on her birthday, and sending that kind of message after everything she's done for him financially and emotionally. I told him to grow the F** up, that he couldn't keep burning bridges with people who support him just because Kami feels uncomfortable. Then, surprise, Kami responded from his phone, not even hiding it. She accused me of never supporting Ryan, of never making plans with him, of not understanding their boundaries, and acted like I'm some outsider who's never tried. She claimed they don't lie, and said I was attacking them for simply having feelings. So I fired back. I told her I wasn't talking to her, I was talking to my brother. I did make an effort. I invited them to Easter dinner and offered to pay for fuel. I messaged them when my cat died. I reached out more than once. I pointed out that I work full-time, study full-time, and yeah, maybe I don't always reach out, but neither does he. Relationships are a two-way street. She's been part of our family for less than a year. She does not get to act like she knows him better than the rest of us. And texting from his account to insult people, his parents, his grandmother, his siblings, is controlling and manipulative. If she wants to attack me, she can do it from her own damn phone. I also told her, just because you or Ryan feel something doesn't mean everyone else has to agree. Feelings are valid, but so is everyone else's right to set boundaries when they feel disrespected. Her response, "Get fucked." Then she blocked me from Ryan's Facebook. Now a couple family members think I went too far and should have just let my parents deal with it. My mum is asking me to apologize and smooth things over before our next Christmas. But after nearly a year of emotional manipulation, ghosting, double standards, and straight-up hostility, I'd had enough. I finally said what everyone else was too scared to say. So Ada for finally snapping and calling them out, even if it caused a massive blow-up.